So I'm in the yard, and you guys are probably gonna hear a lot of noise. Hey guys, it's Jude. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. So a little change in scenery today. I'm in the front yard. Plus I want to take in the nature. I love the sun. I love summer and I want to soak it in as much as I can. I went through hell in winter, so summer is my go-to right now. So I promised you guys in my previous video that I will release a video talking about intermittent fasting and keto, and here we are. There are a lot of things to talk about when it comes to keto and intermittent fasting, but I'm just going to keep it simple for this video because we don't need to overcomplicate things unless you want to go into detail deeply how it's beneficial for you. Then if you guys want that, comment down below or like this video so I know that you guys would want me to share more information on keto and intermittent fasting, and I will do so because I went deep into this. That's why I've been planning to do this for around 2-3 weeks now, but I haven't started yet because I'm looking into the information. I don't want to start off on the wrong foot. I want to know as much information as I can before I start, so I don't fall off the deep end or I quit before I can really get the benefits of keto. So to do that, I need to know what the benefits of keto is. I need to know how to execute it properly, and I need to know all these things about keto and intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is not the problem. It's like the easiest one. It's just changing the pattern of your eating. So first, talk about intermittent fasting, its benefits. So first thing, intermittent fasting is not a change in what you eat, but a change in when you eat. It's a change in your eating pattern. So you have two things. You have when you fast and your eating window. So when you fast is obviously the time where you're fasting, you're not going to be eating. Now don't get this confused with regular Ramadan Muslim fasts where you fast from dawn till sunset. This is the time you set for yourself, your preferable time for you to not eat. And there are a few plans you can follow. There's the 12 to 12, there's the 16 to 8, and there's the 36 fast. There's where you fast for 3 days. There's a 20 to 4. What that means is when you say 2, so 12 to 12 is where you fast for 12 hours, and then you have a 12-hour eating window. It's when you can eat for 12 hours, whatever you want, however much you want. It's not a restriction in calories or anything. It's just a change in when you eat your food. There's no calorie restriction in this. There is no change in what you eat when it comes to intermittent fasting alone. And then we have the 16 to 8 is where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat. You have an 8-hour eating window. What that means is, let's say you stop eating at 8 p.m. and then 16 hours means you're going to break your fast. You're going to start eating again at 12 p.m. So you just fasted 16 hours. The 12 to 12 is like, let's say you do stop eating at 8 p.m. and then you break your fast where you have your first meal at 8 a.m. the next day. So you fasted for 12 hours and then you will have a 12-hour eating window. That's intermittent fasting. Now the benefits of intermittent fasting is increased growth hormone, improved sleep, optimal digestion. What happens is that if you always eat, this is the thing with us. We're always eating. Human beings, our society, we are always eating. We wake up, the first thing we do is eat. We go to sleep, the last thing we do is eat. And in the middle, all we do is eat, you know? So your body is using a lot of its energy to digest. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So instead of always constantly eating, always putting your body in that state of it needing to utilize the energy it has for digestion, leave that energy that it would use for digestion to do something else. Heal you, get rid of damaged cells, repair your body. Maybe you have something going on in there, you don't know what's happening, but your body knows, but it's using that energy it would use to heal it for your digestion. So you're giving a break for your body to do other things instead of constantly digesting food. And also another thing is insulin. Now, what is insulin? It's hormone that we eat and the food is digested and turned into glucose. It's in your blood now. So basically, insulin is released into your bloodstream to take that glucose and put it into your cells. There are insulin receptors on your cells that respond to the insulin and it's allowed to go in. What happens is that over time, when you use insulin a lot, like you're constantly eating, insulin's constantly being used, and you're constantly eating sugar and glucose, and of course insulin is used to, especially when it comes to sugar and glucose. What happens is that when you use so much of it, at one point you will start getting insulin resistant. What insulin resistant means is that those receptors on your cells, they're no longer responding to the insulin. Your cells no longer respond to the message that insulin is sending for it to go in. So what happens is that you have now that glucose that's supposed to go into the cell just inside your bloodstream. And what happens is that a signal from your cell is sent back to the pancreas, and the pancreas releases the insulin. It's sent to the pancreas and it's telling it that we don't have enough insulin to bring in the glucose, so produce more. And over time, when this keeps happening, more and more insulin is produced by the pancreas. The pancreas will get tired, basically, or cannot reach the demands of insulin anymore, and the pancreas will crash and it will stop producing insulin. Now that's when you are diabetic. Now why I'm telling you this is the good thing with intermittent fasting is that you become more insulin sensitive. There's a reduced risk of being insulin resistant because you're not constantly eating, you're not constantly raising your blood sugar levels, you're not constantly producing insulin for it to go into the cell and to bring energy. So basically you're reducing your risk of diabetes and a lot of other issues and diseases that come along with insulin resistance and too much insulin in your blood, because too much insulin can lead to a lot of problems. I can get into the details if you guys want. Just comment down below if you want that. Now that we've talked about intermittent fasting, let's talk about keto. Keto is the change in your diet. This is where the change in your diet comes in what you eat. Keto is a high-fat, low-carb, moderate protein diet. Don't get this confused with the low-carb, high-protein, low-fat diet. Keto focuses primarily on fats and how they're very important for you and how they need to be most eaten nutrient in your diet. We've come to believe that fat is very unhealthy for us. It's in fact the thing that will cause all the problems for us. And yes, that's fat that's stored in you. What's happening is that when you eat a lot more than you should, it comes back to caloric intake. When you're eating a lot more than you should, whether that is fat, carbohydrates, or protein, what's going to happen is that those excess amount of calories, they're going to be turned into the energy that's stored. And what's the energy that's stored? That's fat. And eventually it will lead to the fat being stored around your organs, around your belly. Now, don't get this confused with the fat that you're eating. What's happening with keto is that you're getting your body used to using fat for energy, not storing it, not eating and immediately storing fat. No, you're using fat for energy. When you decrease your carbohydrates and your body no longer becomes dependent on carbohydrates for energy, it will turn to fat as its fuel source. What we're constantly doing now is when we are high in carbohydrates, when we're consuming a lot of carbohydrates, our body is used to having glucose. It's used to using those carbohydrates for energy, and it's not using fat. So that's why you're not losing fat, because you're still giving it a lot of carbs and it's utilizing the carbs that you're giving it for energy instead of your stored body fat. When you're going to decrease your carbohydrates and increase your fat intake, that means that your body will no longer be dependent on those carbohydrates and it will start using fat for fuel, fat for energy. And how it does that is that it takes fat, it turns it into ketones. Ketones are the things you are now using for energy, and that process happens in the liver. It turns fatty acids into ketones. But that's a more detailed topic. If you guys again want me to go into the details of how this happens, then comment down below. I'd be happy to make a video on it and give you more information on ketosis and how it's processed in the body. But the main thing you need to know about keto, the diet itself, is that going to be utilizing and using that energy that you would normally take from carbs. You're going to take it from fat, and now it's going to come from the fat you eat and also the fat you've stored. Once you've gotten used to using fat for energy, your body will tap into the fat it already has, and it will no longer need to use the carbohydrates and depend on you feeding it every single day carbohydrates for it to function. It can function on the fat you are feeding it. And now let's go back to the topic of insulin. Insulin is used for carbohydrates to utilize those for energy. When you're no longer dependent on carbohydrates, that means your insulin requirement is going to go a lot down. And this is especially very good for diabetics, because as we know, diabetics, type 2 diabetes, they cannot produce insulin. Their pancreas cannot produce insulin. In type 1 diabetics is that when your cell becomes insulin resistant, that means your blood sugar level is up the roof because your cell is no longer responding to the insulin for it to go inside your cell. So how this is good for diabetics is that it no longer needs to rely on those carbohydrates that you're feeding it for energy, which means your insulin requirement is going to go a lot lower. You're going to be using those ketones for energy, the fat you're eating for energy, and you're no longer at risk of anything or fearing, if I eat this cupcake, then my blood sugar level is going to go up. No, because you're constantly relying on fat. You're no longer relying on insulin, and that's the good thing as well, because you will reduce your medication. So it comes to a point where you don't even need to rely on your medication because your body is no longer dependent on insulin to use it for energy. It has those ketones, it has those fats to use for energy instead of the glucose that you're giving it and the insulin. So also when you're on ketosis, a lot of things in your body are going to improve. Your growth hormone will increase. You will sleep better due to the lower insulin. The main thing I want to focus on with keto is that your body will get used to using fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates. And that's the main point I will leave you guys with, is that when it comes to keto, you will eventually get your body into the fat adaptation zone, is where it relies on fat for energy, which is optimal for weight loss, because when people are looking to lose weight, they're looking to lose fat, and this is where keto comes in very well for you. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that keto is the only diet you can follow. It's the best thing, because different bodies require different diets, and it depends on what works for you and your lifestyle. For me, if I feel like this is not optimal for me, I cannot do this for the long run, while I have been doing it for 1 or 2 months, then I will stop it. Like I said, it comes back to if it works for you and if it doesn't. Now let's talk about the protein in your keto diet. Now the protein, don't overdo it on the protein, because too much protein will produce an insulin spike, and we don't want that. So you don't want to completely raise your protein intake. Like I said, it's moderate protein, 5% carbohydrates, 20% protein, and around 75% fat. I think that's it for now, you guys. So if you guys want more information on this diet and on keto and intermittent fasting, comment down below. More videos will be coming out on this, of me showing you what I eat, when I eat it, how I break my fasts. This is stuff that's new to me, so I'm probably gonna make a lot of mistakes. So if you're not new to keto or intermittent fasting, comment down below if I missed something, and when I do post more videos, if you feel like I'm not breaking my fast properly, or there are better foods I can be consuming, then feel free to comment down below, because I want to do this the right way, and I want to show you guys how I'm going to do it, so it's like first-hand experience, you know. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you liked it. Also hit subscribe and turn on the post notification button so you'll be notified whenever I post a video like this. And if you think this was educational, and so you don't miss out on me sharing with you guys what I eat, when I eat it, and all this new information that's going to be coming out on nutrition and workouts and my life. Thank you guys so much for watching.